And welcome to Legal Matters, everyone, an informational and news call-in show devoted to legal topics of interest to you, the State Line viewer. I'm your host, Alan Jones. With me is attorney Michael Crosby with the Crosby Law Firm. Always a pleasure. Attorneys are standing by now to take your call at the number on your screen. That's 815-397-2006. They'll be able to provide you with free information on your legal issue. The call is confidential, so pick up the phone now and call the Crosby Law Firm throughout the next hour. Again, that number, 815-397-2006. Our opening statement for this episode of Legal Matters, the anatomy of an auto accident and other injury claims. And in the second segment, we'll continue our popular You Want to Know question and answer session devoted to questions posed by you, the viewer, through telephone calls and social media. Again, the number, it's 815-397-2006. Lawyers are standing by now to take your confidential call. But before we get started, please note that the Crosby Law Firm represents thousands of people just like you. Just as our local hospitals handle a multitude of healthcare issues, the Crosby Law Firm can help you with a multitude of legal care matters as well. So pick up that phone, 815-397-2006. The Crosby Law Firm has a Center for Divorce and Family Law, an injury department, which includes but is not limited to auto and motorcycle accidents, as well as a slip and fall, medical malpractice, workers' compensation, and Social Security disability matters. There's also a Bankruptcy Institute, an office for DUI, traffic and criminal defense, an advanced care plan and probate center, and a division for real estate, business matters, and more. So feel free to call and discuss any of these practice areas with the attorney standing by. And number 815-397-2006. Lawyers standing by now to take your call. It is free and it is confidential. So Michael, welcome to the program. It's always good to see you.
Appreciate it, Alan. Glad to be here.
And we are in the month of May, and that means a multitude of things. I'm just getting into the summer season. Days are getting longer. People are going to be out more. Vacations, Memorial Day. That also means a lot more traffic on the highway. So motorcycle accidents, car accidents, things along that line. So tell us how Crosby Law Firm can help them if something like that should occur.
Well, absolutely. We hope that the spring and the summer are good for all of the people in the State Line area. It's a time to travel, vacations, and as we were contemplating the subject matter for this show, this episode, we thought that an auto accident segment would be appropriate. We want to encourage all the viewers out there to drive carefully this Memorial Day and throughout the entire summer. But we all know that this time of the year, with more people driving on the roads more frequently, this is the time for accidents. I-90, semi-trucks, motorcycles, the whole shooting match. So a significant part of our practice is devoted to accidents, and I thought that would be a good idea for this segment.
Great idea. So we'll get right down to it. If a person is injured in an accident, what's the first thing they need to do?
Some of this is commonsensical.
Yeah.
The first thing is, of course, you don't hit and run, you stop your car, you get out, you identify. If someone's injured, you immediately pick up your cell phone, make that 911 call, secure the assistance of police officers, the EMT crew, etc. So I want to focus first on injuries and make sure that people are taken care of, that nobody is seriously injured, nobody dies at the accident scene, that people are attended to in a timely fashion. Once we get beyond that, we of course want to exchange insurance information, identification information, so forth and so on. So you stop the car, and if it's safe, you get out of the car. If you're on a busy intersection, you may not want to do that. Just think through clearly, step by step, what to do. Obviously, once you've gotten through this first, most difficult part, traveling to the hospital, attended to, so forth and so on, it is extremely important in any kind of an auto accident case where there's an injury or property damage to retain a lawyer. Most of this work is done on a contingency fee basis. We've been doing it for now upwards of 37 years, since 1980. A significant portion of our practice is devoted to auto accidents, truck accidents, and motorcycle accidents. So you want to retain counsel that knows what they're doing, spends a lot of time in this area of law, and of course we do. So you want to hire a lawyer at the get-go.
Okay, once the case progresses along, you're hired for the case, you get things going, what do you have to do to successfully argue and win an injury case?
Well, a good, competent, you start with the retention, the engagement of a good, competent personal injury lawyer that does a lot of this work. The fundamentals, the anatomy of a personal injury case, you must be able to first prove that someone was at fault in the accident. Someone made a mistake, someone was negligent, someone was liable. Then their mistake, their liability, must cause injury to the victim. So the three critical components of most personal injury cases are liability, somebody's breached their standard of care that caused serious injury. There are many accidents that are fender benders where, thank God, somebody's not seriously injured. So you need those three criteria: breach of standard of care, liability, mistake, if you will, that causes injury to another. Those three criteria.
Okay. And what role do insurance companies play in this scenario?
Well, in our state, it's mandated that everyone who has a driver's license, for the privilege of having a driver's license and driving on Illinois roads, is supposed to carry liability insurance. There's some folks that violate the law and don't carry liability insurance. So whenever we take on a case, we first look to the defendant to make certain that they have insurance to cover liability for the injuries caused to our clients. In some cases, they may not have insurance at all, violating the law. In some cases, they may have insurance, but not a sufficient amount. So in every case that we take on, do we not only examine the insurance of the defendant, we take a look at our own client's insurance to see if they have what's commonly referred to as underinsured or uninsured motorist coverage. And so in many cases, we're pursuing our own client's insurance company to help them get a sufficient recovery, as well as pursuing the defendant.
Okay. It's not an easy process, that's for sure.
Complicated.
Not at all. Okay. We're going to talk more about this, and we'll have our question and answer segment coming up after we take a short break. Be sure and call 815-397-2006 and get your legal question answered. We'll be right back. And welcome back, everyone. We're here with Michael Crosby from the Crosby Law Firm, and we've been talking about the scenario of dealing with auto accidents, especially this time of year. I want to get to one question before we get to our question and answer segment. That the victim of a car accident is partially at fault, how's that going to affect the outcome of the whole case when fault is shared?
Sure. Good question. One that I'm glad we're touching on. In the old days, if the party that was bringing the lawsuit for the personal injury contributed in any shape or form to the accident, in many cases he or she would be prohibited from pursuing their claim. That was called contributory negligence. This day and age, the concept has evolved to comparative negligence. So if the plaintiff, the person that was injured, the victim, was partially at fault, in most cases they're still able to bring a claim. So if there's 100% at fault and the defendant is 80% at fault and the plaintiff, the victim, the injured party is 20% at fault, you take that into account for the recovery pro rata. But the victim, even if they were a bit at fault, is still able to bring a claim. So I would encourage any victim out there who thinks that they may have been at fault to still contact us. We'll be happy to take a look at it. And remember, we only get paid in these cases if there's a recovery for the victim. It's called a contingency fee. So the consultation is free, and our legal fees are based on winning for the client and recovering money for them.
Okay, good information. And something that probably a lot of people didn't understand, that if you are still at fault, you can still go forward with a suit.
Yes.
Okay. So now we're going to head on with our question and answer segment. You want to know, in an effort to protect viewer confidentiality, please understand we're only using first names. We may alter the location, the nature of the question a little. I'd like to remind you that lawyers are standing by to take your call no matter the topic. Pick up the phone, 815-397-2006. So our first question, Michael, comes from Susan in Rockford. She says, my mother passed away a number of years ago. My father recently died. My mother's will directed my brother and me to act as co-executors. What does that mean, and what should I do?
Good question. Many of our clients, when we prepare their advanced care plan, their wills, their living wills, their powers of attorney, so forth, may have multiple children, and they may want two children to act as co-executors to work together at wrapping up mom's affairs, mom's estate, if you will. So I'd encourage Susan to give us a call. Hopefully that she and her brother work closely together and can collaborate and partner, and we'll walk them through the process. So co-executors typically mean mom and dad decided they'd like both, in this case, brother and sister, to work together in wrapping up mom and dad's affairs. Happens all the time.
Okay, fairly common. Second question from Jessica in Davis Junction. She says, my daughter, recently incarcerated, has two children who are now in my care. Her ex-boyfriend and the father of the grandchildren are now demanding that I turn my grandchildren over to him. I don't think he's up to the task. How should I deal with this?
This is handled in our family law department at our office. This is grandparent rights. So this lady's daughter's incarcerated, and she's been raising the children, her grandchildren. She has rights because her daughter is incarcerated. The statute specifically spells out grandparent rights when the mother, in this case, is incarcerated. That said, the biological father of the children may also have some rights here. If for the last year or two, grandma has been raising those children and father has kind of abdicated that responsibility, he's still the biological dad, he can still set forth his rights, but the judge is going to take into account that grandma has been the primary caregiver, the mentor of the children. So I would encourage this lady to give us a call. We do a lot of family law work in this area, and grandma, you do have rights.
All right, good protection. The next question from Michelle in Rockford. My mother is up there in years. She has onset of dementia. We're thinking of putting her in an assisted living facility. However, I don't have power of attorney, so I'm not certain I can act on her behalf. How should I proceed?
Difficult case. We've got a case that we just took in earlier this week on this very subject. If, in this case, the individual's dementia is at an early stage, if it is, and they still have mental capacity to sign legal documents, the powers of attorney, wills, living wills, etc., I would encourage them to come in and visit with us. We'll be able to draft the documents and have mom sign the documents. If the mother's dementia is too far along, and in many of these cases, we'll contact the attending physician, have them sign an affidavit that stipulates that mother's dementia is not so far along that she does have capacity. On the other hand, if the doctor says, no, the dementia is too far along, doesn't know what she's signing, then we can take the daughter, in this case, to court and have her appointed by a judge as the guardian over her mother. So it's a case-by-case issue. We do a lot of this work in our office. It's important that she contact us. Be happy to go to bat for and help her with this issue.
Okay.
Needs to come in sooner than later. So if mom's recently been diagnosed with a dementia, come in quickly.
Absolutely. All right. A lot of good information here, but unfortunately we don't have a whole lot of time. Michael, thank you very much.
Well, appreciate
that very much. Don't forget, lawyers are standing by for another half hour after the show airs. The number to call, 815-397-2006. Legal Matters continues with Mark Brennison at the American law firm after the break. And welcome back to Legal Matters, everyone. I'm your host, Alan Jones, and with me now is Mark Brennison, the managing attorney with the American law firm. As a reminder, this is a half-hour informational news call-in show devoted to a variety of legal topics. We have attorneys standing by now to take your call at the number on your screen. That's 815-394-1776. They'll provide you with free information on your issue. The call is confidential, so pick up the phone now and call the American law firm throughout the next hour. Again, the phone number is 815-394-1776. Our opening statement in this episode, our first segment, will be discussing hiring a personal injury lawyer. But first, let's remind our viewers of the multiple practice areas that the American law firm concentrates in. The American law firm can assist you in a variety of legal matters, such as divorce and family law, bankruptcy, personal injury claims, criminal traffic and DUI issues, wills, trust and probate matters, real estate and business transactions, and more. So again, feel free to call and discuss any of these practice areas with the attorney standing by. The number on your screen again, 815-394-1776. Lawyers are standing by now to take your call. Again, the call is confidential. Mark, welcome to the show. Always a pleasure to see you.
You too.
We have some things to talk about. Hiring a personal injury lawyer. I know you've got a pretty deep background in that. You've even written a couple of books about that.
Yes, I have. More than a couple. But
Yeah.
Before we start, I'd like to say the best to my lead paralegal at the firm. She was in a motorcycle accident a few weeks ago and was hurt pretty bad. So best wishes to you, Rebecca, from me and the firm. Hope you get better quick.
Absolutely.
With that, I brought a couple of the books here today just to show you. Number one, it's Personal Injury 101, the non-attorney guide to injury cases in Illinois, and we've talked a lot about that,
Yeah.
but here's a book. I wrote it several years ago, and it goes exactly along the lines of some of the things we've talked about, and people can have it, and they can read it. Next one is a settlement handbook. I've had people carry this in their car. This is a product of several years of practice where people have come in and you hear the same thing over and over again about what they didn't know at the accident scene. And if you look at your policy, there's usually a little card there. If you're in an accident, call the insurance company and here's what not to say. Well, if you're hurt, this is what to do.
It's all right there.
And
yeah.
I've had a lot of people comment on it. In fact, we won a case because somebody had wrote a number of a passerby in the book, and the defendant was saying, no, I didn't do anything wrong, and the passerby was able to say, yes, you did. So it was pretty handy.
Very handy.
And going into what we're talking about tonight, this is Personal Injury 201, choosing the right attorney to handle your personal injury case.
Okay, and we've got a lot of things to get to, so let's get to it. And you very handily gave me some questions to ask.
Yes, I did.
What a special guy. That's great. First question, how many personal injury cases has an attorney successfully led? That's a question to ask when you interview an attorney.
Well, absolutely. When I had my gallbladder out, I asked the surgeon, how many gallbladders have you taken out successfully? Mine had taken out 3,000. He got the job over many others. Same thing with attorneys. You need to find out how often are they in court, how many times, how many trials have they had, what type of cases do they try. You don't want to go into somebody that's a divorce lawyer and that's all they do and they handle your personal injury case. You want to have an attorney that's experienced, been in the courtroom, received multiple verdicts, positive verdicts, good verdicts. And one of the things you need to look at is the verdict needs to fit the case. If you got $10,000 in damages and the attorney got you a $1,000 verdict, that's not really a good outcome. You want to make sure that the outcome matches the actual damages in the case. So ask them for a list of their verdicts and how often do they go to court.
Okay, and being in court is important. They want you need for them to be in the courtroom, not necessarily settle a case, but actually taking a case to trial.
That's correct. I'm here on TV, but I'm also in the courtroom.
So that's important action too.
Yes.
Why is that so important, as opposed to just making a settlement?
Well, it's why you hire an attorney. The insurance company knows if you're doing it on your own, you don't know the rules of evidence, rules of civil procedure. There are attorneys that have never seen the inside of the courtroom, and neither do they, and the insurance companies know it. So will they give you top dollar for your injury claim if you have somebody that's never been in the courtroom before? No, you need somebody that knows all those rules, and the insurance companies knows that attorney knows the rules.
Okay, and if you're asking, like anybody else, if you're going to hire a contractor or anybody else to do your work, you need references.
Absolutely.
So always ask your attorney,
Yes.
give me the names of some people you dealt with.
Yes, and I have names of people I've represented that don't mind if they get called. You know, you don't want to call everybody. You want people that are okay with it. But absolutely, you should call for references and get references. It's like you wouldn't leave your child off at a babysitter, you know, a weekly to stay all day on a weekly basis without getting references for that sitter and making sure you can trust them. Same thing with a lawyer.
Yeah, but it's an emotional time, and I think people don't understand that they can look at this from a pragmatic and non-emotional way.
Oh,
I think that's a big thing right there.
absolutely. I mean, when people come in and talk to me, I don't push them to retain right away. In fact, I'll say take a day and wait, because that's exactly right. You want them to make a good decision. And I've never had anybody really not come back and hire me after we've talked with them. So you have to understand and be sensitive to that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's a lot of great information we need to get to, so we'll get to that in just a moment. Don't forget, lawyers are standing by for another half hour after the show. That number to call, 815-394-1776. We'll be right back with more with Mark Brunison from the American Law Firm after we take a short break. And welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, Alan Jones. With me is attorney Mark Brunison with the American Law Firm. And you're watching Legal Matters, an informational and news call-in show devoted to a variety of legal topics. Attorneys are standing by now to take your call at the number on your screen. It's 815-394-1776. They'll provide you with free information on your issue. The call is confidential. So pick up the phone and call the American Law Firm throughout the next hour. Again, the number 815-394-1776. And we're talking with Mark Brinison tonight about hiring a personal injury lawyer and all the things that you need to think about and need to consult with when you're talking to an attorney. And we were talking before about, as you talk to an attorney, ask them if they've ever written or lectured on the subject of personal injury. And I thought, well, that's kind of unusual because many don't get the opportunity to lecture. I would think they may have written articles about it, but to lecture is something unusual, I think.
In many of the legal journals, attorneys are always trying to get published or writing articles and submitting them to be published because that gives them authority, that gives them importance, it verifies their ability if their own profession will take an article and publish it.
Sure.
And that's something to ask. And are they asked to lecture at seminars? A lot of them will be asked, and they really don't like to do it. But ask that question, because if the profession and the people in the profession are asking that attorney to do something to teach other attorneys, that tells you probably got somebody here that's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty top drawer, as they say.
Yes.
What about those people that maybe have taken on a novel case that required, really some work as opposed to just the authority in the courtroom? They've actually had to use imagination and creativity. How often does something like that come along?
You can look at that two ways. Part of it, of being a lawyer, is investigating the case, finding out all the information, the facts of what really happened. So when you go to trial, you're loaded with the facts and can make sure the truth comes out. That's the whole purpose of a trial. That's the whole purpose of the rules of evidence. But on the other side of the coin is when you're in trial, things can come up that you weren't expecting, that you didn't know. Somebody may not tell the truth. One time I was cross-examining one of the few criminal cases I handled. I was representing somebody that I knew didn't do the crime. The state's attorney, Commonwealth attorney in Virginia, knew it too, but they just couldn't bring themselves to let the guy off. They said, I'm just going to let the jury. Said, I don't know. I'm going to let the jury decide. Well, Commonwealth's attorney or state's attorney, if they don't know, they're supposed to back off, but this person didn't. And during the cross-examination, the star witness who was part of the crime, and he got a light sentence or no sentence. Of course. I was cross-examining him about a particular instance, and he went into this area and had to think quick on my feet because he said, well, my client had paid him money, and I said, how? By check. Didn't know that. I said, can you produce a copy of the canceled check? And you should have seen his face. Well, I don't have it with me. And the Commonwealth's attorney was sitting there melting. And finally they said, can we take a recess, Your Honor? And we did, and case went away. Case
disappeared.
Disappeared.
Quick on your feet.
Quick on your feet.
You got to be quick on your feet.
Yes.
Use search engines. Surf the internet. I mean, a lot of people search for a number of things, but to search for a lawyer?
Nowadays, that's where it's really at. In fact, last week I was at a seminar, legal seminar in Las Vegas on mass torts like Xaralto and that type of thing. But they also had a marketing part of it before they went into it. And all the big marketers that handle everything from medicine, law, whatever, name it, they were all saying the internet's where it's at. Yellow pages are diving. Internet's where it's at. TV's still good, but TV's still going to yield to internet. And one of the things that you need to watch is they were talking about what's called pay-per-click. Attorneys can buy so their name will come up first. But they said what's even more important is people will scroll down even if they see your name first, and they have identified the areas of that people are looking for that the attorneys need to have out there about them, her, or himself. And it was really interesting, and really Google searching for attorneys, that's the place to go. And the attorneys, we have to know what the people are looking for And if we're putting it out there, you can really, that's a good lead to get a good attorney.
A good start?
Absolutely. I think, in fact,
Not make
today,
the decision, but a good start.
yeah, and I think that's probably the best place to start today.
Well, that's interesting.
If I were
But then
looking for an
again,
attorney, that's where I'd go.
social media is always big, you know,
Yes.
and it's all over the
Yes.
place, so got to check that out as well. Check to see if the attorney belongs to any associations, not naturally the Bar Association, but other things that
Yes.
tie into that.
I belong to National Trial Lawyers, American Association for Justice, Illinois Trial Lawyers. I can keep going on and on. I get publications, I write, I'm involved in the profession and up to date on the new techniques that you can use at trial or otherwise. And that's important because that's a source of information people don't always have. They're out looking for the new stuff. I'm implementing the new stuff.
You're already working with
Yes.
it. Yeah, right off the bat. If you already have a working relationship with an attorney, like if it's on a retainer or something on that line, you don't necessarily have to use that one, but you can use him for a nice reference, right?
Oh, absolutely. Over the years, I've had a lot of attorneys who are corporate attorneys that have corporate clients, but they don't handle personal injury. They referred them over to me. In fact, I had a law firm in Virginia. It was one of the biggest law firms, attorney-wise, in the Tidewater area, about 100 attorneys. The senior partner there, managing partner, his wife died in a medical malpractice case, and they referred that case over to me. And this firm had attorneys there that defended doctors in medical malpractice cases. So yes, you will see that a lot. If attorneys know that this isn't my bailiwick or where my sweet spot in the law is, refer them out. And I used to get a lot of referrals from that.
Interesting. So if anybody has questions about hiring a personal injury lawyer, naturally call you.
Absolutely. We're here, and the number's on the screen. Give us a call. I'd love to
All
talk
right.
to you.
Guaranteed. Mark, always a pleasure.
Yeah.
Good to see you. And once again, lawyers from the American Law Firm are standing by. Take your call. No matter the topic, the advice is free. 815-394-1776. They'll be taking calls for about a half hour after the show airs. We'll be back with a closing statement in a moment.
Legal Matters has been brought to you by the Crosby Law Firm and American Law Firm.
Let me close by encouraging you to pick up the phone and call the attorneys standing by. And because of the high volume of calls, attorneys from the American Law Firm and the Crosby Law Firm will be taking calls for another half hour after the show ends. So if you get a busy signal or you go to voicemail, keep trying. Or just leave a message, and either law firm will return your call the next day. And for our viewers who may not need the assistance of an attorney, visit the Crosby Law Firm or American Law Firm websites with any suggestions you may have on subjects of interest to you, and to view all past episodes of Legal Matters. You can also find both on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks for watching. We hope you found it informative.